change your mind, if you change your mind.
This episode is for what it is, for how it structures Yellow and Blue Diamond witnessing Steven as Pink Diamond while still referring to Steven as Pink Diamond. But I always feel like that this episode could have been more than what we ended up getting for how rushed everything turned out. I've watched the episodes involving familial and escapism, and every time I think about those episodes after this, it really feels like that Homeworld had so much potential that we didn't get that potential after 5 long years. With the plot centering around the diamonds, witnessing Pink Diamond, who is Steven, all the while trying to fix the damages when it comes to the corrupted gems, mainly the centipede that we've seen in episodes Season 1 and Season 3, which leads to the characters going to Homeworld in order to meet White Diamond. I really feel like that this episode was a kickstart to what the characters would experience in Homeworld, and when it came to the information that there was going to be a Season 6 of Steven Universe that isn't the epilogue involving the characters going through Homeworld in some other capacity, you can't be able to have a normal perspective of how the final episodes of Season 5 is way too structured, knowing full well that it's the total opposite. Lakes from here to Homeworld really had a good structure involving the characters heading to Homeworld, but every time I think of how this episode is sandwiched between the wedding episode along with the following episodes that were rushed, I really feel like that this had a poor execution of being placed due to rush behind the scenes territory. I know being political is something that doesn't make the episode good, but every time I think about this episode, with it being between episodes that were rushed, I can't imagine how this episode would have been like for how it could have been better. I am always looking into the divided fan base of how people just found these shows difficult to go back to due to these decisions. And for how it's building up White Diamond, with it being the fourth diamond we're gonna be witnessing from this season, how am I supposed to enjoy these episodes in this perspective after learning more about the show? This episode, for how I see it, for the way it is, and how Yellow and Blue Diamond are developed, believe me, the first time I saw this, I was mostly blindsided the most when it comes to these episodes. I enjoyed them, but then again, I was only focusing on the critiques and not the show itself. Mainly its qualities and what they're trying to do. And yet at the same time, I'm still witnessing these problems no matter how I see it. This is the episode where we get the introduction of White Pearl and White Diamond herself, and for how White Pearl has been structured in this episode and Together Alone. It really made me feel like that the perfection I've seen, what they're doing with White Diamond, can sum up on the fact that they could have developed her way more rather than just a few episodes. But due to how rushed this season is, due to the wedding involving Ruby and Sapphire, it's gonna be hard for me to see who White Diamond is when it comes to Change Your Mind. With that finale being the only time where she actually gets the most focus. Seriously, if you really want me to indicate onto how me revisiting to Change Your Mind is important, it's mainly focusing on White Diamond rather than comparing the finale to Future's finale. Especially witnessing Yellow and Blue Diamond being on Steven's side for the most part. Like, every time I think about this, it really feels like Yellow and Blue Diamond are doing what they can in order to handle the situation, considering that Yellow would do the talking to White Diamond in order to make things work out. Even though that I'm not going to revisit Together Alone, since that I did talk about it in my Carnivorous videos, I really feel like that in that episode, they literally wanted to showcase of what the Diamonds are still capable of, rather than not thinking clearly. And even though that people may have mixed opinions on that, for the way I see it, it really feels like that these Diamonds have never changed their mind. And when it came to White Diamond being way too dangerous in comparison to Yellow and Blue Diamond, I really feel like that the finale has changed a lot more over the last 5.5 years. This is going to be a lot more weirder to think of how this episode, along with the following episode, have given me a different perspective on this show for how things have been structured. The only thing I can mention when it comes to this is the fact that the new ship, when it comes to Pink Legs, I really feel like that if they actually did an episode centering around the characters finding Pink Legs, it would probably be boring and not that interesting. I think that's kind of the only positives when it comes to the Rush production, but at the same time, that's not saying much. So with tomorrow's review, Familiar being the only episode where the characters, mainly Steven and Paul, going through the places in Homeworld, which isn't saying much, I'm gonna express on how I feel of how the characters will experience more of Homeworld if we actually got a 6th season of the characters going through Homeworld. But there's so much going on that it will probably take me forever to discuss all of it. So I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10.